Hi, I'm Alanah and welcome to Button Bash. Forza Horizon is the arcadey brother of the popular Forza Motorsport series, and Forza Horizon 2 recently launched on the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, though I played it on the One. It's like a more technical version of the Need for Speed series. It's kind of silly and more centered around being fun than your typical motorsport game, but still has some of the same challenging physics and modification options as Forza Motorsport, as well as a huge library of cars. Library of cars? Is that a thing people say about cars? I don't know, but it ranges from eager, crisp hypercars to laggy, heavy old SUVs and caters to every car enthusiast in the process. So the game is set in a fictional festival called Horizon Festival, which takes place in southern France and northern Italy, and is basically a series of car championships during the day and a music festival kind of thing at night. You don't ever actually interact with the music-y stuff, it's just sort of implied, and I think the whole theme is kind of lame, but at least it's not forced on you too much, maybe just kind of in the opening sequence a bit. Your main goal, if you could call it that in an open world racing game, is to win a series of championships to get a place competing in the Horizon finale and then win that one too. Championships include 4 races, usually 2 sprints, which are just like long distance races, and 2 circuits, which are races containing laps, but you get to choose what kind of car you'd like to drive every single time. There's a track toy championship, a hypercar championship, a classics championship, a whole bunch of championships to choose from at each location. You can buy any one of the cars that fits that description to be able to enter it. It doesn't tell you what to drive or how, which I love. There are also showcases, which are my personal favorite part of the game, which have you racing against stuff like jets or trains or planes across some pretty epic tracks. Then, once you finish your championship, you have a road trip from it to another championship, and you just kind of repeat. The road trips, though, were a surprising delight. You drive through some of the most beautiful parts of the game, and it is graphically outstanding even without pretty environments, but you're not actually racing. It kind of encourages you to enjoy the drive and let it all sink in rather than just compulsively trying to see everything as a competition, which is easy to do. Towards the end of the game, certain roads became familiar, and I started just feeling so relaxed, hugging cliffside corners beside an ever-spanning sea lit only by the sunrise. Where most arcade races are just easy to consume fun, the little things like this make Forza Horizon 2 so obvious that it was developed by actual passionate car enthusiasts. And while the campaign runs on a fairly simple formula, it doesn't get repetitive quickly. Maybe it did towards the end of the game where things were becoming overly familiar, but that was after like 20 hours of playing. The mechanics themselves are extremely solid, from enormous differences in handling between cars to rain fully affecting how you drive. There's always something new to conquer here. Even once you think you've mastered one car, there's 100 more that might be available for purchase as you rack up your credits for completing races, and then on top of that, there's modifications. And while the game isn't as technical or difficult as Forza Motorsport 5, there are a heap of handicaps you can tinker with to fully customize the difficulty. One thing that makes the game way harder is changing the damage impact from being purely cosmetic with like bumps and scratches on your car to actually affecting the handling. I gave up on that one pretty quick, not even ashamed to admit it. There are also a bunch of skills for you to focus on, like pulling off a particularly amazing drift. Kind of like getting a combat multiplier in an action adventure. If you effectively pull off a skill combo, you'll end up with a bunch of XP, a new level, and a skill point that lets you unlock something handy like discounts on buying new cars. So even beyond trying not to throw yourself into every second corner at 90 kilometers an hour, the game gives you some extra stuff to focus on and an actual reward if you choose to. I think there's only one major issue that I have with the cars themselves. The sound isn't quite as authentic as other games on the market. Your Ferrari F40 looks, feels, and accelerates just like it should, but the engine just doesn't have that same kind of grunt. It's not that the sound is outright bad, but other franchises certainly do it better. The in-game radios aren't too great either. It's either techno, nothing, or weirdly enough, classical. I didn't particularly like any of the music I heard in the soundtrack, so it would have been nice to have at least a little more variety in there, but nope. Of course, there's so much to do in Forza Horizon 2 that you'll often be too preoccupied to actually care that much about the sound. One new feature is the Horizon Bucket List, which is a series of challenges that you can complete when you find marked cars around the map. One of my personal favorites involved driving a rally car through the woods at nighttime, which was just obscenely hard, being that there are obstacles everywhere. You know those things called trees? Some will have you drift around a certain amount or get a certain amount of air or nearly hit people but not quite hit them a bunch of times, which is always fun, really, it is. The bucket list challenges vary in difficulty pretty dramatically, and I found myself darting between them, the actual championships themselves, and the various collectibles scattered across the map every time I went to a new location, all the while enjoying the scenery. The online mode of Forza Horizon 2 actually features a co-op bucket list, which is similar but requires you to complete the challenges with friends. There are also online road trips where players get to vote on destinations and enjoy those drives together, and online car meets where players get to hang out and compare cars, tunes, and builds. Beyond races and circuits, there are even more separate game modes for the online mode called Infected and King. Now, I honestly didn't dabble in playing it online too much because I was just enjoying it so much without other people, and because I'm a little bit of an antisocial jerk, but the parts I did play were seamless and definitely didn't suffer from the same awkward online lag that a lot of racing games tend to. All in all, it's an absolutely enormous game with hundreds of hours of gameplay and a huge lineup of cars, so it's almost baffling that those cars will handle well, and it's pretty, and it's fun, and it's still fairly technical. Aside from a few silly things like cheesy themes and some really awful paint jobs and way too much crappy techno music, I'm almost amazed at how much this game managed to get right. Forza Horizon 2 is currently available on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and I'd have to recommend it to pretty much everyone, even if you're not into cars. I'm Alanah, and thanks for watching Button Bash.